Hi, my name is Lena. Welcome to my channel, and let's talk about the last play that I read for the ShakeTube 2018, and it was The Two Noble Kinsmen. I think I finally found the way to read Shakespearean plays. My mistake was that I either read them or listened to them while I was walking in a park. I think for me the best way is to listen it on Friday evening, probably 2, 3, 4 hours at home, doing nothing at the time, just reading the text and listening to professional actors reading the text for me, and maybe pausing and rereading bits and pieces of the text. I absolutely loved The Two Noble Kinsmen. I know I already knew the story because Shakespeare tells it himself that he took the story from Geoffrey Chaucer, from his Knight's Tale, the Knight's Tale, the story about Palamon and Arcite and their love for beautiful Emily, the sister-in-law of Theseus, Duke of Athens, I suppose. So I have already knew the story, but I like the Shakespearean adaptation better. I like the poem, but the play I like more. I like it because in Chaucer's poem, Chaucer was the one relaying to us all that his characters told, all that they felt. They kind of didn't have their own voice because Chaucer was the narrator, the knight was the narrator. And Emily, she was this star, unreachable star that kept them going at first, and finally she was this prize that one of them would get. I don't remember her ever having her own voice. I don't remember. At least in this play she gets to rant about her situation. She gets to tell that she doesn't want any of it. So the story is Theseus, Duke of Athens. He is about to get married to Hippolyta, the queen of Amazons, and he had to a bit postpone his wedding because 3 queens asked him to go to Thebes and fight the general or that possesses the Thebes. And this general, sorry guys, I don't remember the name, he murdered these queens' husbands, kings, 3 kings, and he doesn't allow their bodies to be buried. And it takes actually these 3 noble women quite some time to persuade Theseus to help them, because he's about to get married. He doesn't want to risk his life at this particular moment, but I think these women and Hippolyta and probably Emily, they persuade him. Sorry, at this part I wasn't paying enough attention to who said what. Sorry, guys. But I really enjoy this play. So they persuade him. And he goes to war with this general. And this general, he has our king, and he has two nephews, very noble young men, and they don't like their uncle, and they don't like uh, his actions, and they want to leave him. But unfortunately, at this exactly moment, uh, Theseus attacks the Phoebes, and this young man, they decide to stay and fight for the city and for the people of Thebes. And they get captured and they go to jail. And from the window, they are ready. They understand that they will die in this jail, that they will never see the day of light, that they will never be released from the jail. They understand it, and they came to grips with it. So they kind of accepted it. But one day through the window they see Emily gathering flowers in the garden, and they fall in love with her. And very, very swiftly they become in love with Emily, and they quarrel about Emily, and they became bitter enemies very swiftly during maybe 15 first minutes. Then one of the brothers, Arcid or Arcide, he was summoned to the Theseus, Duke of Athens, and he was banished from Athens. And he decided not to leave and try and become a servant to Duke of Athens, and he actually becomes a servant to Emilia herself. He gets lucky. And Palamon, he stays in prison, and he cannot see Emilia or Emily because he gets moved to another cell. But jailer has a daughter, and this daughter falls in love with Palamon, and she helps him escape. Palamon and Arcide, they finally meet, they decide to fight. Whoever wins marries Emily. At this point, they haven't even spoken to Emily about their feelings. As for Palamon, he hasn't actually spoken to her at all. She hasn't seen him, but they decide that whoever wins gets the girl. And Palamon is exhausted, he's cold, he's hungry, so they decide to postpone this battle, this fight, and Arcite gets to Palamon everything he needs at first. Clothes, food, and then the second time weapons. And there is a very moving scene when they help each other to don armor, to put on the armor, and they help each other with all the no matter. So they help each other to put on the armor, and for a minute they forget about Emily, and they are cousins again, and they are best friends again, and they really care about each other. But Palamon seems to be the jealous type, the one that cannot think. He cannot think about anything that but Emily. So they can solve this conflict peacefully. They need to fight, and they decide to fight, but they stopped because Theseus is hunting in these woods. They are discovered, they are stopped, they are recognized as cousins, as nephews of the king that Theseus vanquished. So, and at this point, Emily gets to rant about how she doesn't really want. She doesn't know this man. One of them was her servant. She doesn't know them. She doesn't want to become a wife to any of them. She doesn't want, although it's kind of the time of the knights and fair ladies, and this, but she doesn't want these two knights to fight for her to the death. She doesn't want it. She doesn't consider it an honor. She just wants them to go peacefully back to their country and to leave her alone and not to fight each other, not to kill each other. She doesn't want any of it. And Theseus, he actually says to Emily that she gets to choose. The one she will choose. She will marry. The other one, Theseus will execute. And of course, she cannot do it. So they decide that in 3 years or in a year, the cousins will come back with 3 knights each, and they will fight this battle. And whoever survives marries Emily. And she spends this time trying to choose. Although she doesn't get to choose, she likes them both, but she doesn't like any of them more than she likes the other. And at least she has a voice. Sorry. So another interesting detail that they Chaucer in great details describe temples that they built in Athens before this final battle, temple to Mars or Ares, temple to Venice, and the temple to Diana. It was very strange in Chaucer, but I guess it was important for this age. For Theseus, for Athens, for everybody involved. So, luckily, in Shakespearean play, we don't get that. but we get sacrifices that this young man make. Arcite makes a sacrifice to Venus, and no, Arcite makes a sacrifice to Mars and or Ares, and asks him for the victory in the fight. Palamon makes a sacrifice to Venus and asks her for the love of Emily, that she would help him to get Emily. And Emily asks Diana to either to keep her a virgin or to help her choose the husband. And all of these sacrifices is accepted and all the prayers are answered. And actually all what they prayed for comes true. Actually, it was a very interesting detail that although Arcite wins the battle, something happens to him afterwards, and Palamon gets to marry Emily. I was hoping against hope that it will end better, in a better way, although I knew the story. So at least they didn't execute the 4 knights, the 2 knights. So I really like the story. Shakespeare added a little subplot about the jealous daughter. She doesn't even get a name. She goes crazy because Palamon didn't love her, and she didn't find themselves each other in the forest. They just didn't find each other. When she was bringing food and clothes to Palamon, she didn't find him, and she spent the night in the forest alone, listening to wolves and other wild animals being called and being scared, and she lost her mind. She also had a war, and this war and a doctor and her father decide to try a very interesting cure. Her war was to pretend that he was a Palamon, and that was supposed to help her to bring her back to sanity. It was kind of strange tale, and it wasn't that funny actually. It was kind of questionable why this man would pretend to be somebody else to woo his beloved one, to make love to her, because she doesn't love him, she loves another man. Why would he do it? So, and the girl also, she doesn't love this wooer. She loves Palamon, but she is not herself, so she's kind of gets used at this moment. It was a very strange tale, but I think it was supposed to be a comic relief, something like that. It didn't work. I think in now times it doesn't work quite as well as it probably worked back then. Sorry guys. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and happy reading.